Wagwan, me brethren, Jules here with another reasoning session. We're coming at you yet again with a topic from the book of Revelation.
Come now and let us reason together. Come now, we can talk it over.
Sorry guys, I just had to. But yeah, once again, Book of Revelations just popping insight after insight, and this is one I had to share because it's actually talking about the corruption in the world. Not just the corruption, but specifically the people involved in it, and how, you know what, no matter how much of a chance they're given, they're not going to turn from their wicked ways. They've chosen the path that they're walking on in this life, and it's not going to be pretty, because the more chance they have to turn, the more they're actually solidifying them running in the opposite direction. And we're actually seeing them, you know, straight up defy source. I mean, it started off with that ridiculous prayer at the beginning of 2021 in Congress.
Today we pray, a woman.
And everything they're doing is actually like the antithesis to the force of life, the force of connection, the force of actually bringing together a community. I mean, first it just starts off with putting a barrier in front of your mouth, right? In order to speak your words, but not just speak, like just smiling at people. Like, of course, before, like, we might have been caught up in the day-to-day world and we're just busy with our own egoic desires, but now we realize just how important a community is, and just how important communication and interaction with people really is, right? When you do get those brief moments nowadays, sad to say, when we experience these connections, it just seems like, you know, you're enlivened again. It's like you've plugged into a source field. Basically, that's what it is, actually. But the corruption that's going on, like, mind you, these people aren't going to change. They've chosen their way, and like, source is continuously giving people a chance to, you know, reassess what it is that we thought was important, where we're going in the world, and how we want to move forward. If we want to move forward with source, or if we want to continue choosing the egoic, mundane, material lifestyle. You know, material, nothing wrong with materialism, but if you go with source, all of those needs, all of those desires, they're just gonna fit in. The puzzle is just going to complete itself, and you're going to actually start to experience things that you didn't even know were possible, but they're just going to flow to you in order for you to be that fullest potential of who you're here to be, because that dream is inside of you. Source has given us all a vision for a reason. It's not there by accident. It's not there to torture us through this life and to show us what we can't have. It's for us to actually tap into the true source, so that once we do, all of that stuff will just flow in, and we'll actually be able to express the talents we were created to express. We are actually able to actually bring the life that we know we were born to live into fruition. But anyway, the topic from Revelation is dealing with the last of the woes. Now, Revelation is a series of 7 upon 7 upon 7. You have the 7 seals, and then you have 7 trumpets, and then after that you have these 7 vials. I'm not going to go into detail on exactly what those symbols mean in this video. Probably in a future video I will. But the woes are the last of the series, and they actually represent the wrath of source, the divine judgment that's coming on those who really don't turn from their wicked ways and change their perspective. But that all happens after a lot of these plagues play out in the physical. And, you know, a lot of people, there's a lot of destruction, there's a lot of commotion and changes to the natural physical world due to this unfoldment in the spiritual causal realm, where the seals are broken and the trumpets are sounded. But by the time all that plays out, the people that are really left are the people that have chosen to actually defy source and actually come right into the face and say, you know what, you stand for life, you stand for justice, you stand for all that stuff, and we are going to fight you to the very end and curse you to your face. And that's what we're seeing with a lot of the leadership. I say that in quotes because it's stolen anyway. But the people that have tried to take some form of control in the public arena, this is exactly the platform that they're standing on. And as they continue to run in this direction, you know what? They're not going to change sides. So we mustn't feel sorry for them, but we must use it as signposts to actually solidify our own connection with Source, our own directive, and our own incentive in pursuing that direction. But I'm just going to start with the fourth vial. This is chapter 16 and verse 8 of the Apocalypse. And the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and power was given unto him to scorch men with fire. And men were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of God, which has power over those plagues. And they repented not to give him glory. So we see that they can see that this is a supernatural event. Now, I'm not saying that this is actually playing out in our time. What I'm saying is the nature of the people that defy Source, they see it, and yet they repent not to give him glory. That's only the fourth vial. We go on to read, and the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain. So they're suffering because of what's unfolding due to the judgment that's being released from the causal realm. It's being released on them because they've, ultimately manifested this state for themselves. But yet it continues, and blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores. So they see where this is coming from, and yet they turn around and curse this very system of justice. In the Hebrew scriptures, this is described as Yahweh, and Yahweh literally means that which goes around comes around. It's representative of divine justice. Seed time and harvest. What you put out is what you get back. As you sow, so shall you reap. It's all there. That's literally what Source is, ultimately. But it reiterates the same point. They repented not of their deeds. And then the sixth angel pours out on the Euphrates, and a whole bunch of other turmoil happens. And ultimately this culminates in verse 16 with them gathering together in a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. This is, leading up to the final battle, even prophesied by the prophet Joel. This is a fractal manifestation of what's coming. So the escalation, we can see that no matter how bad it gets, the people that have chosen the side of evil, the people that have chosen the side of, perversion, manipulation, just death and destruction, they've chosen it. They've literally sold their souls. They can't make decisions outside of that because they're being controlled by, let's just say, third parties. But we move on to the seventh vial, and it says, and the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne saying, it is done. And there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake and so great. Now, of course, that also has symbolic meaning, but we're going to skip ahead a couple verses and see what their reaction is to this. And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent. And men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceedingly great. Again, they are not changing their path. They have and like I said, they're sold out. They're being controlled, and that's why they can actually be sitting at dinner with you, having a great conversation, order a salad, have manners, say please, thank you for this, and then just go ahead and continue their conversation about how much an unborn baby's arm is worth. Just in conversation, because that just shows the veil that's been pulled over their eyes. It's sad to say, and I know it's troubling for those of us that have really made a stride to connect with Source, to connect with Source energy, to connect with this force in the universe that actually gives rise to life and connection and community and all this stuff, right? We want to bring our talents forth. We want to live our best life yet, and that involves bringing together a people around us that are actually conducive to living in a community where we're living our best life yet. That is who we are. And it's sad to see that, not everybody's on board with that. But we are going through a purging. We are going through a splitting of the prism. And this whole, I would use the word tribulation if that didn't have a lot of connotations with it. But this whole kind of refining process is actually there to separate the wheat from the chaff. Literally, the word tribulation comes from a big wheel. I believe in Latin it's called a tribulon. I might be getting my grammatical structure mixed up there, but it literally comes from this term meaning, the wheel that they used to winnow the grain and separate the wheat from the chaff. So all of the pressure that we've undergone in the last year or so is actually there to really expose our true nature and for us to tap into who we really are here to be. So let's use it to our advantage, hone ourselves to the best possible version of ourselves. And when this fog really lifts up, we're going to be able to actually manifest our best life yet. Stay optimistic and do your part. Tap into Source, because we're here for a reason and we're bringing this world into fruition piece by piece. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next reasoning sesh. Joel signing out once again. Agape, Salaam, Namaste.